our third and final conversation of the evening before we join you for some drinks after. I am very excited to introduce the people who are behind this documentary. So as we mentioned, this is a co-production between Campfire Studios, Axios Entertainment, Amazon, and then of course, Jersey Legends. And you all heard from Noah before from Amazon before the screening. Now I am so excited to introduce Rebecca Evans from Campfire Studios. Rebecca, come join us. Rebecca is the EVP of nonfiction and our own Axios' head of entertainment, Erica Winograd. We're here to talk a little bit with the show's showrunners about how this documentary came to be and what their big takeaways of it were. So I guess the big question, let me start with you, Erica, since we're technically colleagues. How did this come to be? You would think because we work in the same place, I know all these answers, but I don't.
Well, you know, there was a Supreme Court decision that came down about 2.5 years ago about all of this NIL stuff. And Juliet Bartz, who I think is somewhere in the room here as well, who's on my development team, we started talking about rumblings that we were hearing from our newsroom. And both our politics team and our sports reporters were all talking about this big Supreme Court decision and how it was going to upend a multi-billion-dollar business that is college sports. We felt like this was soon going to become water cooler conversation in every living room in America. And that is what we strive to do in terms of Axios Entertainment, which is really where does culture and popular culture intersect with all of the core competency areas that we cover in our journalism. So we said, hey, we think there's something here. And I called Taylor. We were talking about how I was on maternity leave with a newborn baby when I first made this phone call, and my kid is now 2.5 years old. So that is how long it takes to make a television show. But we started talking, and to Taylor's credit, I think you can all see now, she is a beast, and I say that in the most complimentary sense. And she saw the vision for this thing the same way we did. So we thought there was something here. We do not have physical production infrastructure at Axios. We serve as an executive producer in production capacity. And so we called Campfire Studios, who are the best in the business when it comes to documentary and docuseries storytelling, Emmy award-winning company, incredible. And we said, hey, Rebecca Ross, her partner at Campfire, what do you think about this? And they said, we are in. Where do we sign? Let's go. And rest is history.
And Rebecca, what made you so excited about this project?
I think that the conversation around athletes getting paid is something that a lot of people know a lot about and are engaging in, and a lot of people know nothing about. And I really liked having the opportunity not only to open up that conversation to people who aren't having it, but also it seemed as though the people who are having it are not the ones who are actually living it. And so I thought, you know, why don't we actually blow this up into something much larger where we can get behind the scenes and we can get with the Taylors and the Aaliyahs and the Livies and see how it actually works from the people who are involved in it.
So it's crazy to think, but this debuts tomorrow on Amazon Prime Video. And we're going to, I think, have a showing on Thursday too, right after the first Thursday night football game on Amazon, which is huge, right? We're expecting so many millions of people. Yes, thank you, Noah. How did you guys get this idea over to Amazon? How'd you get them to bite?
We actually went down to LSU first to scope out the scene and met a bunch of the athletes, filmed some initial interviews, which was really interesting because it was really before Angel Reese was the Bayou Barbie. You know, you'll see where Jaden's career goes, and we got to people really early, which was really interesting. And we brought that tape to Amazon and we told them, you know, about what we suspected could happen, the type of conversation we could get into. And a lot of people in the industry had been wanting to do an NIL story. And I think, honestly, I kept like pinching myself because LSU, the fact that we were able to get in with them was truly and is truly the best when it comes to the space. And what you will see in the season, where the athletes go, Taylor is a powerhouse. It really felt like just perfect synergy, and there was no way Amazon was going to say no.
There's absolutely
I will
no
just
way.
add to that, and I will say to Rebecca's credit, I remember we were talking about going out and pitching the show on Access and Idea, and Rebecca said, let's hold a beat, let's go down to LSU and let's put some actual characters on tape. And I think so much, Sarah, what you and I have talked about, and I talk about with Axios Entertainment is, in this new era of Axios Entertainment, telling stories that really are about business, media, politics, technology, sports, but that lead with character and lead with story. And that was 110% the right thing to do. And to meet people like Aaliyah, to meet the Livies, meet the Flages, and put substantial character reels in front of Noah and his team at Amazon. I don't want to speak for Noah, but I think that really pushed things over the edge. When you see real people living these stories, it changes the game in terms of what people talk about when they think they understand NIL reading it in the newspaper.
Rebecca, for those who aren't familiar with Campfire, what are a few examples of big things that you all have done so you could familiarize the crowd?
Yeah, absolutely. Just this summer, we released American Murder, the Lacey Peterson Project on Netflix. We did Mastermind, which is if anyone has seen Mindhunter. It's based on the real life Wendy Carr, which is a 3-part series on Hulu. We just did the America's Sweethearts, Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders show. We, have been nominated for multiple Emmys. We won an Emmy for our WeWork documentary. And I think, when thinking about our brand, and this is why I was so happy to align with Axios for this project in particular, and hopefully many more, is that we always make sure there's some type of message we're giving to the audience. And with this one, it was really interesting because the message was a question, do you think athletes should get paid? Come join the conversation. To what extent should they get paid? And so, yeah, that's who we are.
And then just a quick follow-up on that, outside of some of the projects that you have done, Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders, for one, you mostly aren't always working with athletes. So what surprised you? What did you learn in doing this documentary with Axios about what the student-athlete experience really is?
I think Taylor actually said it really well, because I think in general there are a lot of misconceptions about how NIL is working, that these athletes are just getting gifts left and right. And when we got down there, honestly, the hardest part about the show was the athlete schedules. They are juggling school and being an athlete, not only just an athlete, like a D1 athlete. Many of them are going to things like the Olympics, and they're on USA teams and world teams. But then they're also building their own businesses and being their own CEOs. And some of them multi-million-dollar businesses. I mean, you'll see Livy get into that more. And it's honestly unbelievably inspiring. And I think that, I cry watching the show every time. I've seen it 100 times. And I'm just always so excited about what I think audiences can take away from it.
And just to close us out here, Erica, I think a lot of people think about Axios as a newsletter company. We do some events. We had a show with HBO back when we launched years ago, but we are now just starting to get back into entertainment. What should we be expecting from Axios as an entertainment brand and from your division?
Yeah, absolutely. I kind of alluded to it just now when it's how do we reach as many people as possible with the same kind of messaging and topics that we have in our journalism? And to give an example in the money game, say our newsletters on a daily basis reach about 3 million people. This show, fingers crossed, after Thursday Night Football, will be seen by 30 million people. And so my job is to figure out the intersection of our journalism and popular culture, always leading with entertainment, always leading with character and storytelling. But, the tagline of Axios is smarter, faster. And so we want to make people smarter, faster, whether they're reading a newsletter, whether they're attending an event, whether they're watching an Axios television show. And so, I see Axios Entertainment as this really special way to just plug into the flywheel. And it's really exciting. Our founders often talk about making Axios a modern media and a next generation media company. And I think very strategically inserting this entertainment piece into the otherwise existing company is really exciting, and we can all work together. We work with editorial, we work with events, we work with brand sponsorship. So I just want to do more of this.
I want you to do more of this too, because this is fun. Fun for us. Thank you both so much for joining and for explaining a little bit more about the partnership. And again, thank you to Noah for being here on behalf of Amazon. We really appreciate it. Just some of the fun takeaways. It takes 2.5 years, according to Erica, if that's how old her child is, to make a TV series.
If you have to get into a massive state university before you have access to the show, yes.
Yes. When it comes to how you got this done, going to LSU first, getting the compelling character clips to bring to Amazon was a huge selling point for how you got the show over the finish line. And it's a reminder to me, as somebody in a newsroom, that storytelling matters, is always at the heart of everything that you do. Rebecca said something interesting, which is at the end of a lot of Campfire Studios documentaries, you try to leave the audience with a message. And in this one, it's a little different. It's more of an open question. You know, should athletes get paid? How much should they get paid? And I think that's it's going to make for a very interesting conversation starter, because I think this is the first major editorial documentary series ever on NIL. And then, you know, lastly, sort of one of the things that we learned from Aaliyah today, Taylor watching the screener, and Rebecca mentioned was these athletes' schedules are absolutely insane. They put our commutes and our work lives to shame. And so it's just extraordinary that we even got some of your time. So thank you so much to Aaliyah and Taylor earlier. Thank you to Jennifer from Mass Mutual for being on stage with us. Thank you to Rebecca and to Erica. And thank you to all of you for coming out and for watching this screen. We hope that you get to see the entire 6-part series on Amazon. Make sure to check it out. But in the meantime, we are going to have a few cocktails and some snacks. So feel free to stick around and mingle. We'd love to get to know you better. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.